Hi everyone. This video today I will be doing mostly for the female part of my audience because I wanted to discuss my experience of giving birth in Norway, and I wanted to go over the most common questions that you will have when you're pregnant and waiting to give birth in Norway. I wrote down some of these questions for myself, and just so you know what's coming, I will be talking about my background, where and when I gave birth, the checks that you will do before birth, how long you will stay in the hospital, what to bring to hospital, how is the food there, how it is if you stay with or without partner after birth. I will talk about epidural and possible painkillers that you can get during your childbirth, how much it costs, and how to get home after they discharge you from the hospital. Let's start with my background. I have 4 kids right now. 3 of them I gave birth to in Norway. So here's the remark: I lived in Oslo for the 10 years I've been living in Norway, and so I've been giving birth in hospitals that are in Oslo or close to Oslo. And first time it was in AHUS because I was living in Lillestrøm back then. Second time I gave birth to my third child in Ullevål Sykehus in Oslo center, and the fourth time with my fourth child I was giving birth in the same place, but the experience was different, all 3 of them. And I think I can cover a lot of ground and a lot of confusion for some ladies that are waiting to give birth soon. Let's start with checks before the birth. That happens usually in helsestasjon. It's the medical nursery. It's not a normal GP, but it's the institution that is taking care of pregnant ladies and newborn kids up to 1 year, 1.5, 2. So if you get pregnant, you usually call the closest helsestasjon that is attached to your area. It's very easy. You can type in helsestasjon and the area where you're living and the city, and it will show you a number. First you need to call them to make first appointment. Usually it happens when you are 5-6 weeks pregnant, and the next appointment they give you, it's quite a long waiting time. I think it's around week 13, 14. If you have a risk of miscarriage or had it before, it can be scary to wait that long. But in Norway, there's no such thing as saving the pregnancy if something happened on the very early stages. So if you know that you have risk and you need to do extra checks, you need to talk about it with the nurse, or you need to go maybe privately to some clinic. Anyways, the first and second checks will be almost 10 weeks apart. You will get 1 ultrasound scheduled for 22-24 weeks. What I did, I went privately every time. When I knew I was pregnant, I went to private gynecologist and did 1 ultrasound on early stages to check. Then I was waiting for my second ultrasound that was for free, scheduled with hospital. So after you get your scheduled ultrasound in second trimester, when you go to hospital, they do the check, measure all the vitals, you usually get the pictures. I must say that these checks and information that I give today, based on that I had healthy pregnancies, I gave birth myself and I don't have any health complications or something that suggests that I needed to go more often to check myself. Last times they didn't do really so much checks on me, because I can see here, first one was on week 7, then I had one on week 16. So as you see, it's quite a lot, 9 weeks in between. And from there, it's a check every 4th week, so it's not so many checks. Week 23, then I had ultrasound, week 28, 32, and from week 32, you go every 2 weeks. It was 34, 36, and 38. After that, yeah, with my last child was also week 40 plus, because I actually was giving birth on week 42. If everything goes normal, they don't do any extra testing. Only for me, I did an extra glucose testing in the middle of my last pregnancy, but overall they just measure you, they check how swollen are you, take your blood pressure, and you can complain a little bit. Yeah, they also listen to the heartbeat. When I compare my pregnancy outside of Oslo, when I was giving birth the second time in AHUS and in Oslo, because I was living in Oslo center, I can say that there is a different services provided based on the place where you live, because In Oslo, they have a lot of pregnant ladies, especially in Oslo center, and helsestasjon that is in center, they are overcrowded and you will not get as many treatments, or you will not get any really. At least I didn't get. Then if you live outside, as I did, my nurse was doing acupuncture for me for free. I complained about back pain. I was giving a swimming pool classes also for free, which when I complained about my back pain in Oslo, what she did is she gave me a card of a chiropractor or something where you could get a little discount if you come from them. But basically you have to pay for all the treatments yourself if you want something extra. The second time I was giving birth, my water broke because my nurse did some acupuncture and she was checking me because it was week 40 and my due date was this day. So I guess she just scrubbed a little bit inside and my water broke in the evening. We left for the hospital. I told them that my water broke, but I didn't really have any opening. It was like 2-3 centimeters and they say you can just go back home. I told them no, my water broke, I'm not going anywhere. So we were staying in the hospital for over 24 hours. I was in the entrance, so the room where they take you. They were monitoring me. They say that there's no real contractions, so they tried to send me home. I declined, and then they made me a room. Usually when the room is free and your contractions are intact, they send you from the entrance checking room up to the birth department, and there you have your own room as well. I didn't ask for any painkillers. I just moved to Norway really, so I didn't speak any Norwegian. And I was not aware that epidural was an option and that it was for free. It was painful, but I managed myself. In Norway, they try to do everything as natural as possible. So I remember it was my second birth. It was so long and I just asked them to cut me a little bit because it was my first birth. In another country, they cut me and sue me later, so it was faster. But the nurse here say no, you can do it yourself, so she helped me and it was so much more painful and long, but they will try to do everything to help and stretch you so it's as little invasion as possible in your birth process, so be ready. Also they will try, of course they not offer you painkillers or epidural if they see that you're kind of managing yourself, right? So you need to also play it a little bit over the top if you are set that you want some kind of painkillers. After you give birth, they check the baby, they check you, and they move you to another room where you can stay. In this case, I was staying alone because my ex-husband, he was with another child, the first child. We didn't have somebody to watch over, and he just went home and they came to visit afterwards. The third time I was giving birth alone as a single mom of 2 grown-up kids. I had special circumstances. So when my contractions started, it was week 38 and a half, around that, 39. I called my friend that she was supposed to take care of the older kids. She came and I was walking, I was timing my contractions, everything was steady. I went to sleep. I woke up 4 o'clock from regular contractions because you cannot really sleep it off. I called the hospital, Ullevål. I was living in Oslo center. There is a straight bus number 37, goes from Sandlandshagen, where I was living, to Ullevål. It's just a few stops. I packed my bag and I told them my timing, so they say just come. I told them that it's my third birth, and as I came to the hospital, they set me into this room again, entrance, right? So you fill out the papers, they take you to the room, they measure your contractions. I was laying there, and of course with all this light and stress, it happens that the contractions are just dying. It was early morning and they told me, yeah, you can just go home because my water didn't break, my contractions was just dying. And I told them, you know what, I am not going anywhere because I don't have anyone to watch my kids and I already agreed with the person, so I cannot really just go force and back all the time. And after like a talk force and back with the main nurse, I told them, just help me because I'm a single mom. I don't have a chance to just travel force and back and wait for it. So in the way, I scheduled my own childbirth, and after a few hours she was just like, okay, you know what, here, paper, fill it out. And it was paper for induction, so I signed it, and of course it's the paper about you understand the risks and if something happens. And as I had the contractions, they were just mild. They say I already had an opening of 3 to 4 centimeters, which allowed me to do this basically, because my previous contractions, they were not false, they're just, I'm this kind of mother, I guess. When I come into this environment with this highlights. It was the second time the same. When we came, my contractions stopped suddenly because of the ambient around. They also could give me this paper for induction because the main nurse, they actually check if they have availability right now. And I think I was just lucky. Despite that it was August, and August, July, June in Norway, it's very busy months for the hospitals because everyone is trying to give birth this month so they can get the spot in kindergarten the next year. It's also a very tricky situation in Norway right now. I went up to my room early in the morning. It's 10 o'clock. I arrived to hospital at 6, and by 10, 11 they made a room for me. I will put a video here of the room tour that I did in Ullevål sykehus, Ullevål Hospital. I was actually quite lucky when I was giving birth third time because there was not so many people, and I got the room with jacuzzi inside. It's only one room they have, I think. I was upstairs. I was with one nurse. She was checking on me. I asked to make a klister, how it's called in English, I don't know, cleaning with the water. So they did that. After a couple more hours, I think, my contractions started to pick up a little bit. She checked my opening, and when it was 5 centimeters, she brought my water. And after that, my contractions started to be very painful, but I was not opening so fast. So when it was 6 centimeters, I had so much pain. And the nurse, she was massaging me. So I was alone in this room. They had like a lot of nice equipment there. She was coming, giving me a massage. I remember talking with her, and she looked at me and she's like, yeah, we are not doing it without epidural probably. And I say, yeah, that's an option. So I told her I want it. As I understand this epidural, you really need to do it when you are not that much open. So when you're like 8 centimeters, nobody gonna put you epidural. So you really need to ask it early on, and they need to see that it's very, very painful for you already on the opening of like 5, 6 centimeters. So they connected me to epidural, and it was like the best experience I ever had. It slowed down the contractions. It already was the second nurse that got there because they're changing after 8-hour shifts. So I had 2 nurses, and the nurse that was with me whole day. After 9 o'clock in the evening, when she was starting to get ready to go back, I already got presented with another nurse because this nurse that attends you, it's gonna be the one assisting in the birth itself. And usually when the action time is on, there's coming 2 more people, 2 more nurses to help. With my second birth also, it was funny because first time I was giving birth in Russia. And when you give birth in Russia for free, it's an unforgettable experience. You have to climb the special chair. So it's not like a natural birth that where you lay, where you stand. No, there's a special chairs, gynecological chairs that you climb on. You take your feet up, and you give birth in this position. So it's better for the doctor, not for you. And I had this experience, and this was fine. And in the hospital, there was just like bed, normal bed. And I'm like, where is the chair? How do I give birth on this bed? I cannot put my legs somewhere. I don't know. I wanted this position because I liked it. I know the doctor is seeing everything, they're controlling, and I can push good because I'm pushing good in this position. And she's like, don't worry, when the time comes, it will be here. And suddenly they just transformed this bed into this chair. One part was removed, and there was it. And so the third time I already knew. So I was not worried. I was laying on this bed, and when it was show time, suddenly it happened so fast. So she actually managed to take the child because it happened just in 15 minutes that my opening was from 8 centimeters, 8.5 to full. I would say that epidural is a very good option when you have given birth already. So you basically know the mechanism, you know the signals. And I told her, I feel it and I'm ready to push. Just like, okay, I check you. And she said, oh yeah, we're ready. And it was completely painless with the epidural. I could feel when I need to push because biggest problem, as I understand, with epidural is that you don't feel when you need to push, really. So you don't feel your own contraction. I could feel my contraction, and I knew when I need to push. And as it was so painless, what happened that I was pushing him, and I literally took him myself as I was pushing him. It was so weird feeling that something is inside you and at the same time in your hands. I don't know, it's super weird, but it was kind of nice. He was small, my little doll baby. And overall, this experience was the best, that I got to stay in the hospital. They kind of induced me. It almost went as a scheduled birth, I would say. So in this case, I was lucky. With the fourth child, I was in the same hospital. The overall, birth experience was good. It was just different pre-birth experience because I was already over due date. I went to my nurse after week 41 already, and she scheduled me on 17th of April to go for induction because it's already over week 42. And I gave birth myself on 16. But yeah, I was over it. Of course, when you're after week 40, you're already over it. When you're week 41 or 42, you're so over it. I was so big. And to know myself, I had the contractions starting in the evening, 8 o'clock. We called a friend that was staying with the other kids. And I told my partner, you know what, don't worry. Because I know myself, these contractions, it takes ages based on my previous birth experiences. They usually stops in the hospital. So I want to really stay home and wait until it's like strong in 1 hour. It got really strong. So I was holding the ball. I called the hospital and I told them the timing and that it's my 4th birth. And they're like, you have to get here now. Don't wait, because I asked them, should I stay home more with these timings? And they're like, no, get here. My husband asked if we should call a taxi, and I say, no, I know myself, let's go take a bus. Because still living in Centrum, in Sandhaugen, it's 3 bus stops, okay? And I'm like, it will help the contractions, you know, I will go, I will walk, it will open more, so when we come there, I'm actually in the birth, that they not send me home back again or something. As we was on the bus, the contractions was really kind of strong, but I know the contractions from before, also with my first child, before epidural, they were the same. And in this case, when I barely walked from the bus, we were walking to the hospital, people were asking us on the way, should we help? And we're like, no, it's just contractions, fine, we're getting there. As we got into the entrance, I was not sure when we needed to go, and I had so much pain. They were trying to make me to fill out some paperwork, and I'm like, no, I cannot, I don't understand anything. I'm like, the man staying here, filling it out, they send me to the chair, and she's, okay, you're 8 centimeters open, we go upstairs immediately, and I wanted the epidural, and she's, no, it's too late. I looked at my husband, you have to tell them that I need some painkillers, because I'm not doing it. And so I came up and the contractions was really painful. And she's like, maybe we just power through it. And I'm like, no, because I know it's some time to go still. I asked them what we can do. She said, there is a spinal anesthesia that you can get. It's not epidural, it's wearing off. And it was a nice break for me. Another thing, when they give you painkillers, you should stand still. Like, you need to sit, they need to see your spine. So it's very important that if you have a contraction, you like really sit still for it. Otherwise, they are not able to give you this painkiller. I sat still, and later I had like really nice break of 1.5 hours, because it's like epidural, you don't feel so much. You can feel the contraction a little bit, but not so much. And it slowed down process a little bit again. So instead of 2 hours, it was 3. And as I was like approaching the birth moment, the anesthesia wear off, and it was so painful. But at least I got a little break from the contractions. Birth was fine, and I was actually giving birth in a different position this time because of the baby and his weight. And in the end, they told me, like, if we not push him out, then they really have to apply some machines on him and measure his oxygen level. So I put myself together and pushed him out before they start doing something. And after the birth, they ask you if you want to eat something. I'm usually going for like a sandwiches, so they bring you sandwiches with this Norwegian flag and the juice or soft or whatever you want to drink. You ask them. I was giving birth at night. Every time it was basically evening or early morning, so they didn't really have good food like from canteen, because at lunch and evening time they have a real food they can bring you. But as it was times when everything was closed, they had to operate with what they have in the pantry. But it was the best foods usually that you get after birth, so hungry. And it's so different, because I know in different cultures in Russia, either they say you cannot eat, everything is forbidden after birth. In Norway, they want you to walk a little bit. So as you gave birth, they want you to get up, go to the toilet yourself, like to stabilize your blood pressure. In Russia, for example, I had to lay, they moved me basically to the bed, and then they rolled me to the room. Here, if you can walk yourself, you walk yourself. And the third time and fourth time, I actually walked myself from the birth department to the hotel. It's a separate block with rooms like in hotel. And usually they ask you if you're staying yourself with partner, they look availability of these rooms. We were lucky, so we got a double room with 2 beds. So you stay there all together. The nurses coming and checking at you are very often first. Of course, they need to take your vitals, they need to check on the baby, they need to check on you. Many times blood pressure, then they leave you to sleep at some point. They ask if you need some painkillers and they can give you paracetamol. Basically, you left on your own in the room and they leave you to sleep. And when you come to this room, they're equipped with everything, basically. Here we're coming to the moment what you need to bring with you to hospital. In my bag, I had the clothes for the baby. For first days, I had 2-3 sets. Little wool hat. You can buy them in pharmacy and you can order them. It's a special little hat, super cute. They advise to bring a wool hat. Also depends on the season when you give birth, what you want to bring with you. Also maybe extra blanket for the baby, clothes for yourself. You have to bring clothes for yourself because you will be in this gown that you give birth in. And the thing is that before, even when I give birth third time, you are still allowed to go to canteen in this gown. So I had a robe over it. But fourth time, you were not allowed to go downstairs in your gown. You had to change into pants, and the pajama pants was fine, normal sporty clothes that are loose, but you have to dress in something more appropriate to go to eat lunch and dinner. So be aware of it. Shoes, I had 2 pairs, one for a shower and one to get out, like Birkenstock, and toiletries, things like toothbrush, creams, whatever you might need, hair dryer. Also some snacks, because there is a machine with snacks downstairs and the bar, but you want to have your own because they are closed for some time. And if you feel hungry and thirsty, the waters, the juices, whatever you want to have, they have a fridge, mini fridge in this room, so you can put it there. That's what I had. What else? I didn't bring any diapers. I brought diapers for myself because they give you a big pad. So after you give birth, they give you like a net underwear and they put a big pad in it. When I was last time there were no mesh underwear to change. So they had pads, but they didn't have a mesh underwear. So either you buy yourself your own mesh underwear if you want it with pads, or big pull-ups. That's what I ordered. It was nicer this way. And the pads for you, they have all the necessary stuff for the babies. So the changing mats, diapers different, 1 and 2 sizes. If you need some creams, you can take some creams for baby. The clothes for yourself and for the baby you need to bring, and the clothes that you will be getting out of the hospital. So you need to look for the season, of course. If the birth is normal, usually stay there for 2 days because they need to make a blood test, the final blood test for the baby after 48 hours. It's a test from the feet. They take the blood to check it for genetical diseases. And if everything is fine, they don't call you. If there's something, they call you up from the hospital within a few weeks. And you can discharge earlier from the hospital if you wish, but you have to come back to get this test done after 48 hours. So I just stayed until the test was done. This was the second day in the morning, and then we got discharged. The food in hospital is very nice. For my taste, they have many different options. There is a canteen for everyone. You can choose between fish, meats. Usually there's like desserts. They let you eat everything, and I ate everything, no problem. Didn't have any problems before. They ask you if you went to the toilet, because you also need to go to toilet in these 2 days. That's adventure on its own. But if you give birth naturally without any complications, shouldn't be so much problem. More of a problem if they cut you. How to get home if you don't have a car. That was my case 2 times. If you're not living far away, one option, of course, is to bring a stroller to the hospital on the day when you're getting out and either walk, take a bus, take public transport. If you're afraid to do so, then a taxi works good. I ordered taxi both times, and you either just get a chair that you can attach in a taxi, or you order taxi with the chair. That's what I did. I ordered taxi from the Oslo taxi app. Work good. You just need to mark that you need the newborn seat. What else? How much the whole thing costs? In Norway, it costs absolutely nothing. Not for any medication they use during the childbirth, not for the stay after you gave birth. Like in US, it costs a lot of money to stay in a hospital after giving birth. And if you don't have insurance, that can be a big problem. In Norway, it's absolutely for free, and it's for free even if you don't have a personal number. It's absolutely for free to do all the checks during your pregnancy, all the visits, except for the private one. If you want to go private to the private gynecologist, then you will have to pay. But otherwise, all the services is for free. The medicine that you get prescribed is for free. The food, stay for you and for your partner is for free. All the supplies that you get is also for free. And then after birth, you can actually subscribe for baskets from different companies and pick them up in different shops Nice baskets with like creams, diapers, napkins. You can get it from pharmacy, you can get it from Kiwi, from Rema, even the shoe shop. They give you like a package with a toy, and later on 1 year you can get the first shoes for free also for the baby. So yes, guys, that was my experience. The conclusions out of it, that all 3 times I had a very positive experience with the nurses. In both cases, the first time I was not speaking Norwegian, they was speaking English, and absolutely no problem to communicate. They listen to you, help you in all of the cases. I'm not against the medication. I'm not so all pro natural and endure the pain. I did it 2 times, endure the pain, and yeah, after 2 times somebody goes even more natural, somebody thinks that, yeah, why should I struggle? So if you want the medication, if you want epidural, ask for it. Try to come to hospital in time if you want it. Push them, because of course they're not gonna offer it to you. They will try to do it as natural as possible. And yeah, as I say, in the hospital, in the birth room, you have different options of relieving pain. You have shower, the special chair that you can lean on. You can bring your own music. You can dim the lights. The rooms are quite spacious. There is a chair, there is a bed, there is a ball to jump on. So just a standard set, so you can be as comfortable as possible. I hope that answered some questions, and if you have more, I will gladly answer them in comments. And if you had experiences, good or bad, also leave them in the comments so other mamas know how it is, because I know you get really agitated, really anxious closer to the date. So I hope that helped someone today, and I see you in the next one. Bye.